Hello everybody, welcome back to another Saturday Anything Goes. Yep, we're right back here. Seems like we just talked a couple days ago. I'm glad y'all are joining me tonight. Be sure and say hi so that I can say hi back. What are we going to do tonight? Well, I thought we'd go big and bold. Going through my DSP, this DSP is one of my absolute favorites. I'm such a fan of oil painting, and if I bring this up close enough, you may be able to see how it looks like there's canvas with brush marks on top of it. So I immediately fell in love with this because I used to do oil painting many, many moons ago. The name of this is the Lily Impressions Designer Series paper, part of the Lily Pad suite. But we're going to use it out of context tonight because I have a stamp set that I don't even know if I've used this yet, called The Power of Hope. How appropriate is that in today's world? So I thought we would make a nice card with it. But we're going to do a little bit more than we usually do. I'm feeling spunky, so I thought we could maybe do a little heat embossing, maybe do some coloring. Who knows what kind of trouble we're going to get ourselves into. So hopefully you guys have come along for the ride. All right, now that I've got the volume down on my computer, I'm trying to watch it along with you. Hi, Betty. Thanks so much. Michigan is indeed beautiful. I've been there several times. Okay, and I kind of struggled with which paper to use. There are two very similar patterns. Let me pull them both out, and then I'll get rid of this bulky stack here. We've got the big and bold, which I love, love, love. But we also have that same print, just smaller. So it's like you're looking at it from a distance. And I just wasn't really sure which of these prints I really liked. And that's a conundrum I get into sometimes. Hang on, I'm just trying to pull this down here. So to solve that, here's what I'm going to do. I have a piece that's cut at, hang on, let me check. It is cut at 3 inches by 4 1/4. And so what I'm going to do is just hold that up and see, do I get more bang for the buck if I'm using the bigger print, or can you actually see even more of the print if I'm using a smaller one? And if I do this strategically, we probably could really see a lot of it. So I think I want to go with the smaller print. Let me just double check something because I can move things around here too. And yeah, that's pretty, but it just kind of looks like an abstract painting. You don't really see any actual shapes. So let's go ahead and use the smaller one. And then it's got all kinds of colors you can use with it. The whole paper pack there must be a dozen colors you can use with it. But with this one, we can use Blackberry Bliss, Pretty Peacock, Melon Mambo. It's got some Garden Green. I wasn't too sure. There are little bitty flecks of yellow, and there isn't a yellow listed on the back of the DSP pack. So I think I went through, and I'm thinking the crushed curry is going to be a good match for that. So those are the colors we're going to be using tonight. All right, I've got my stamps mounted. There's one other thing that I'm going to need your help with, but let me get this cut down first. So we are going to have the DSP cover the entire front of the card. I really want to use it. And our card is going to be a 4 1/4 by 11, scored and folded at 5 1/2. So a top folding card, which means I need to take this down to 4 1/4. And if I do that, and then I put my focal panel here, which is going to be about center there. And what I'm doing now is I'm just looking at where can I really see the best shape? So I could put it there, or let me pull this up a little bit and make some room on my desk. I might want to, let me get back at my 4 1/4. I might want to come down here to the bottom area because you can actually see more of the shapes, I think. But I'm not done yet. This is what I go through, gang. This is what I go through when I'm trying to figure out where to make my cut on a large piece of paper. I don't mind sacrificing some of the DSP if it can really add to how my card looks. And I think I'm going to like that. So I'm just going to cheat and turn this around and make my 4 1/4 inch cut. I think this is going to be really pretty. And I think you might have seen me kind of play around with doing this during last week's live. Okay, so this is my strip. Again, I'm going to bring this up. So that really, it gives me a few little bits here and there. But if I bring it down here, I get a lot more. So I'm going to cut my 5 1/2 inches from the bottom. Do any of you do that? Just kind of go to town? There are some DSPs that I want to get every little last drop of it, so I'm very stingy with my cuts. But on this one, don't need to be. Pretty purple on the back. All right, while I have the trimmer out, let me cut my card base. It's going to be a Melon Mambo. And again, this is going to be a 4 1/4 by 11. We're going to score it at 5 1/2. And there is a score blade on the trimmer, but I've been just so used to using my bone folder that I'm just going to use that. It makes the score a little bit deeper, which comes in handy for the folding. That, I think, is all of the trimming we need to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is just take that DSP and we're going to glue it right on because we can. And that way I don't lose that little piece of paper. That pattern is so, so, so pretty. All right. And then I'm just going to lay it down, pick it up, so that I can make sure all of the card front is covered. Just like that. Okay, now we can put that away because we're pretty much done with that part. Let's get on to doing something fun. We're going to take our focal panel. Again, it's 3 inches by 4 1/4. And here's my conundrum. I know the saying I want to use from this stamp set. Hope is the power that makes all things possible. And it will fit very nicely in either corner. So my next step is going to be, do I want the pretty geisha? We can have fun coloring that. Or do I want the Shinto temple? So if I did that, and actually just let me lay these down so that we can kind of see the composition. All right, so we can do this. And I think that would be a very, very pretty card. We could even do maybe some little faraway birds in the upper right. Or we can take our geisha. And I think I wanted her over on this side so that she's actually looking that way. And we can put our saying up there. Now both of them are pretty, but I kind of like having the Shinto temple because with this, I just think it makes it a little more balanced. There's not quite as much white space. So we'll save our geisha for another day. And let's get to stamping our focal point. Now, I thought about, what do I want to do? Do I just want to stamp it and have it be in black and white? Because black and white can be very, very pretty. I could have picked any of the colors that I told you were in my color palette today. But then I thought, you know what? I want to have some fun. What if we do a little heat embossing with black powder? That's really going to make it shiny. It's going to stand up. And that way, my coloring, I don't have to worry so much about staying in the lines. And I really like that. So I think that's what we're going to do. So I've got my Versamark pad here. Just pull all this down a little bit. And with the Versamark, I usually do rub, 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 tap, tap, tap. You want to make sure you get a good amount of ink. And it's pretty shiny, so it shows up really well. Before I do that, though, oh my goodness, I almost forgot, we need our embossing buddy. It's been a while since I've done heat embossing, but I can remember that you want a really clean surface with no static at all. No oil prints, nothing. So we're just going to give it the old go around like that. Okay. Now let me try and line this up without getting fingerprints all over it. I've got my Versamark. And I'm going to do this in 2 stages because I want to. So I'm not going to stamp, even though they're both going to be in the same color, I want to do it in 2 different stages. So I'll stamp this down. Just going to hold it for a second. And if I move it around, I can see it looks like it got a full imprint. So now I'll take my embossing powder and hang on, I gotta get my old spoon out so I don't make a bigger mess than I normally do with this stuff. And I'm even gonna take, I haven't done the top yet, so I can press there. I'll even move this over here, so hopefully most of the excess will fall in the bucket. Look at how pretty! Oh my gosh. Okay. Cover this up for now, or I will dunk it all over. I like to do my heat embossing with a little cheese board, and that's just so that the heat, the wood helps with keeping the heat even, but more importantly, it keeps my little fingers protected from the heat tool, which I'm bringing in right now. Let me plug it in. I have this thing about not leaving my heat tool plugged in, even if it's only for half an hour or so, because I just worry about, short circuits and stuff. Okay, turn it on. I apologize, it's going to get loud. And you always want to, you don't see it because I'm actually letting it warm up underneath the desk. It works much faster if you do that. And now I can come and I'm just going to do various points here. I'm not circling. I'm actually letting the heat build up, and it's going to turn that beautiful, beautiful shiny color. So you can see it starting. And then we'll come down here to the bottom. And the paper may curl a little, but, it's no big deal. We're going to be gluing it down, and I've got my little plastic spoon to help hold the edges. All right. That looks good to me. Hello, Lenny. Hi, Case Card. Hello, Danette. All right. Now it's safe to remove. I got to remember this sometimes gets hot too, so careful, careful. So we've got that part, but I also want to do, don't fall, my sentiment. Because I've been touching the top part of the card, I'm just going to give it another little wipe with the embossing buddy. And remember, tap, tap, tab, rub, rub. Sounds like a kid's song, doesn't it? And pardon if my head gets in the way, but my paper's a little bit curled here, so I have to be a little careful. I'm going to do it right there. All right. Bring back out our embossing powder and hope for the best. Did Linda get it on straight? Did she get a good imprint? Survey says it's a little crooked, but not too bad. Not too bad. So now we're just going to repeat that same process. Bring in my cheese board. This time I think I'm going to do it this way because I really want to keep the heat off of this as much as possible. You don't want to burn the paper. If you see any stray little wispies, just knock them off. And here we go. I shouldn't have to warm up my heat tool this time. It stays pretty warm once you've used it. And I'm holding it at a slight angle. You see it's turning much faster. Just easy back and forth movements. Okay. That is it for our heat tool. I just love how shiny the black is. And since we've got a big, bold DSP pattern, this is going to look really nice. So this will go on like that. And you know, I'm thinking we're going to have a matte to it as well. We'll come back to that. Let's go ahead and do some coloring. Make sure this is nice and cooled off. And I could use the blends on this, but I want my color to be a little bit softer. So I'm going to bring in, which colors did I want to use? I think we're going to use the Melon Mambo and the crushed curry. So we'll see how that looks. I want to use my aqua painter. So let's see if I can smush some ink into the lid. Sometimes it's a little difficult with our new pads. So there's that. And then our old pads, it's usually pretty easy. They seem to be a little more flexible. Yep, there we go. All right, I've got my aqua painter here. I do need, hang on a second. Always like to have a little towelette nearby so that I can make sure that it's nice and wet. And then, let's do the top first. That Melon Mambo, if I just did it like this, let me just show you. See how bright that is? So what I want to do instead is pull some of it out here and add some water to it. Just like that. And that way I can control. If I don't have enough, I'll just pull a little bit more in if I want it darker. And I think I like that. So, get a little of the excess off here. Go into that right there. And then we're going to do the roof. And I do think I want it a little bit darker than that. But see how by heat embossing, I don't have to worry about it going outside the lines and looking more like a watercolor abstract. Water, some more of that. Just have fun with it. If we can't have fun making our cards, then I don't know what we make cards for. I got a little out of the lines there. I'm not going to worry too much about it. It'll be okay. All right, so I think that's everything that I want to do in the Melon Mambo. Just make sure I've got it all done there. Okay, and then I can close that one up, clean this off. To do that, all you do is squeeze water, and then when you don't see any more of the red, you know you're good to go. So now let's go into the yellow. Just pull it over here. And again, now this yellow is not that bright, so I'm not going to squeeze a lot of water like I did into the pan. Maybe even less water or a darker color. Yeah, I want this yellow to be a darker color. So I might even go in right there where it's way dark. Kind of liking that. And we'll just finish up with the little supports here. Maybe come back up there. And right there. All right. That is all there is to our coloring. But it's just enough. It gives it just enough color to where the DSP isn't going to completely take over. Let me show you what I mean. Close up everything here. This is what I'm talking about. Now that we've got some colors there, it brings your eye forward. If I had left it just black and white, I was worried that your eye would just sink immediately towards the color. But we can help that out one more way as well. Let me pull my Melon Mambo paper back here, and I want to do a matte, and I think that's going to look really, really good. So we do need our trimmer one more time, and our paper is 3, let me just double check, never hurts to double check. Remember the old saying, measure twice, cut once? Okay, so that is 3 by 4 1/4 on the nose. So I'm going to want this, and I always like to cut the long edge first. So 4 1/4 is there, and I bring it out 1/16, 2/16, so that actually equals an 1/8. So it becomes just a little bit wider. So I just want to double check here. Oh yeah, that's going to look really good. All right, and then this we said was 3, so we're going to cut this. Same thing, I'm going to go to 3 and then 1/16, 2/16, which equals 1/8, and cut. And that's the size I usually like my mats, is just so you can see around it. Right like that. And I think I'm going to go ahead and mat this now. And I want to make sure, because we heat emboss, we've got a little bit of buckling of our paper. So I'm going to be a little generous with our glue. And then we'll just line that up and press it down. All right. Now I did talk about maybe some birds up here in the upper corner, and I think I do want to do that. I love working in 3s, whether it's 3 flowers or 3 ladybugs. In this case, I'm not going to put 3 Shinto temples down, but that could be 1, that could be 2. If I put a 3rd thing in, it just balances the whole thing. And there are some birds that I like. Hang on, let me see where they are, Right here. sailing home. I love those birds. This is a distinctive stamp set, so the birds will really stand out. So I'll just grab them. I'm not going to heat emboss them because I want them to look like they're kind of in the distance. So the fact that they're not shiny is going to automatically push them a little further back. Let me just get a block here. And I'll bring in my black ink. Get my memento. And let me just do a quick, oh yeah, that's going to be pretty. All right, so we'll have them flying in right about there. I like that. And the fact that that black, again, is a matte black and not shiny, I think really helps to push the birds into the background. All right, now we're ready to finish putting this together. So I'm going to use my foam strips just because they're right handy. So how's everybody's weekend going? Didn't do a dadburn thing today other than scrub the bathrooms. That's exciting, right? No baking. We actually got our granddaughters in Florida baked us a care package, and so they sent like 5 or 6 different kinds of cookies that we got yesterday. So yeah, kind of been munching down on those. I saw a cute meme that said that the Surgeon General recommends that you wear a mask inside the house, not to protect you from the virus, but to keep you from eating too much. Appropriate. I don't even want to step on the scales when this is all over. All right. Piece in the middle just to keep it from buckling. Okay, just peel these off. Come on. It's hard to see sometimes which ones I've already peeled off. Hi, Vivian. Vivian is also one of my granddaughters. A very grown-up granddaughter, though. And the best cook you will ever find. Okay, let's see if I can line this up. I want it to be pretty centralized here. Lightly lay it down. And that's it. I am not going to embellish it. I don't think it needs any embellishing. I think that heat embossed black adds the perfect touch to it. So this is our card for tonight, our lovely Power of Hope card. Any questions, anyone? Hi, Karen. So happy you joined. I hear Australia's getting a handle on this whole virus thing, huh? Thanks, Kay's card. I appreciate the feedback. All right, well, there you go. Took us about 20 minutes after all my nattering, and we got to do some coloring as well as some heat embossing. So I hope this has inspired you to break out your tools and to have some fun. Go big and go bold. Okay, gang. So we'll do our usual thing next Saturday for sure, and depending on how bored I am, I may try to slip another one in the middle of the week. But remember, stay safe, check on your neighbors, wash your hands. Good night, y'all.